I'm Hung Yung Terrarist, aka Tokyo Cum Punch, and you're watching This Is 50.
Hung Yung Terrarist, welcome to This Is 50.
Thank you so much.
First and foremost, what's the meaning behind your name?
Hung Yung Terrarist, I think it's because I have a mindset of, I like to challenge things. I'm like, counterculture. I'm a threat to the government, basically.
Okay, what do
Not
you mean
really.
by that?
No, not really. But I do a lot of things that are like outside of the box, kind of outside of the norm. It's like I want to sort of break up the mentality and like the way of seeing things. I like to sort of, for whatever reason, I tend to just swim upstream like my whole life. So I'm just kind of like, it's not easy, but it's just kind of how life has been for me. I was in a cult. I turned down a deal that went to Amy Winehouse. I've done a lot of things that would drive a person crazy.
Right.
Like, so.
Now, you grew up in LA. What was your childhood like? What was your upbringing like?
So I grew up in the projects of Beverly Hills.
Okay.
You familiar with the projects?
The main streets of Beverly
Beverly
Hills.
Hills? Below Sunset. I was actually at the cellar last night with some comedians, and they helped me come up with this. They were like, I was telling them how I'm from the poor part of Beverly Hills, which is like upper middle class, below Sunset, like the flat part. But honestly, my house growing up was a project. It was constantly under construction.
Right.
I like ran into a wire when I was little that was sticking out of the wall. My mom almost divorced my dad like 10 years ago because she was like, how could you let me live like this? It's always been under construction. But my mom actually is like such a control freak. She doesn't let him do anything unless like she approves every tile, which is why it's like never gonna be done. Like they were trying to finish like a guest house for me in the back, but now my mom wants it to be 2 stories. And she's in her 70s. I'm like, Mom, this is a 10-year project. Like you're gonna be dead before this finishes. Can you like just finish the guest house? Like 3 years ago, it's like, we'll finish it. So yeah, kind of the projects. But what was your question? Where did I grow up?
Your upbringing, your childhood.
Upbringing, yes. So I went to Beverly Hills High School. I got straight A's. I really, really liked studying. I liked coming to class prepared. I was always like the teacher's pet. I just loved, asking questions and learning. And like I vibed with the teachers more than the kids. And then my big sister was in this cult, which the Buddha Field, Holy Hell Netflix, and so I sort of got kind of pulled into there. I was also a child actress, very LA, stage mom with my little sister, and I was getting things. I like actually almost got on a pilot. I went into an audition one time. So I grew up singing like Aretha Franklin. I had a teacher. Like I really can belt like a motherfucker. Which you don't really hear on this record, but you'll hear it like if I also do comedy, so like on some comedy songs I do it. But I went in and I like did like a cover of "I Ain't Never Loved a Man" by Aretha Franklin, and like I walked out of the audition and I was like, I think I was like 10 or something, and like everybody was clapping, and I was so excited. I was like, it was like a pilot for this new show called Gospel, but it never got made.
Right.
And I think part of the audition too, we had to like sort of just like ad lib and sing, and that was really fun. But
Where did you joined the cult at 15? Is that right?
I was initiated at 15, but I had sort of been like talking on the phone. I was like 14, and it's crazy. Like back in the day, we had landlines and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I remember I would be calling like people in the cult like late at night, and I wasn't allowed to tell my parents, my big sister. It was all a secret, and I didn't even tell them until, it came out at the end. But like I was on the phone with people there like an hour every night, like as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, and it's just like always surprised me that my mom never like checked the phone records and be like, wait, who are you calling in Austin?
What led you towards the cult? Like what made you say I want to be a part of this?
It was like a drug, to meditate, and it still really is. Sometimes it's like, oh, this fucking sucks. But to this day, like if I actually close my eyes and I like meditate, it's kind of like a drug. What the drug part about it is getting outside of my ego. The ego, the ego is just nonstop. So like when I'm able to sort of, it's like drugs, they just take you out of yourself.
Right.
So that's kind of what it was. I had a really hard relationship with my mom. We always fought. I think one time like she kicked me in the shin, like, she like she would like slap me sometimes, and like, but the worst part about it was she would scream like right up in my face, like just really just like, call me a little bitch and all these things. And she told me that I was like lovers with my dad in a past life. When my dad would make me pancakes on Sunday morning, she'd be like, "You shouldn't do that. You're spoiling her." Like, it was a weird, jealous, like weird relationship.
So was it kind of a rebellion type thing? Would you say joining it? Like, would you equate it to kids in New York? They join gangs.
Yes, it wasn't so much of a rebellion, but a real need for like love. I wasn't getting it from my mom. So, but now we're able to be cool. Now I'm like realizing, okay, she like felt like I didn't like her.
Right.
Like she would say this to me, like that she thought I didn't like her or something, like, and it's just so weird, So my relationships with women are of course colored by that,
Right.
but it wasn't rebellion. It was just like, it was a way for me to sort of get out of that house where I was like very much felt trapped.
So there's a stigma around cults. People think like you're trapped and you don't have any say for yourself and you gotta listen to a leader. How would you describe your experience in a cult? Was it always a good experience, or were there bad experiences in that process?
I think it was an overall good experience. I think it was very little that was negative. It really was like a small reflection of the world. Like, now I'm in the comedy scene, I'm in the comedy circuit, and it's kind of the closest thing that I've actually found to the cult in the real world, because it's just a group of friends sort of supporting each other, helping each other grow for the most part, Yeah, there's some jealous bitches in there, that like you gotta be like, all right, get well, but like, yeah, I don't know.
Would you recommend it to somebody else? Like, say you had a daughter or you had a little sister, would you recommend them joining?
No, because you can't come back from it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like sometimes people have tattoos that say no regrets, and I'm just like, why, dude? You need to have some regrets. Like that's what living is about.
Right.
You learn. But yeah, I think it's maddening. It's part of why I call myself a terrorist. It's like it really deconstructed my brain and how I see things in life, how I see people, like in a good way for me, but I don't think just anybody can take it. It's like would I choose for anybody to go through what Harry Potter had to go through and get to where he's at? No, because not everybody's Harry Potter. Some people are going to go through that and they'll die. And like it won't be pretty. Like a lot of the guys came out of the cult. Also, I wasn't getting fucked in the ass. Like the guys were getting fucked in the ass and not talking. So there was, I think they liked it until they didn't, to be honest.
Right.
But
and is that what led to the sex work?
It's not a popular opinion. The sex work came because you can't. Look, some people have gone on from the cult to do wonderful things.
Right.
They got their, they're getting their PhD in psychology and they're giving like online, sessions, and they live in Ohio. And there's, some people that have gone on to study cults, at university post this thing. And there's some people that have gone into like shooting porn and like weird game show ideas. I tried to do like the normal thing. I went to law school, I got a scholarship, flunked out because I didn't study until 3 days before the exams, which I got through the first semester with that, but the second semester my criminal law teacher, she was the one that fucked me over. But she was hot as fuck and I liked watching her in class. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm not really built for law. My mom fucks with, she's an attorney. But I tried to be a substitute teacher. I tried to do a lot of things. I really did try to sort of sink into a 9-to-5, and I have so much respect for people that can do that. But I couldn't do it. And also, you know what it's like to live in like the most expensive cities in the world. New York, Los Angeles, like it's really hard. I used to wait tables in New York. I used to bartend. I really tried. Like it took me a lot of jobs to become a hooker. Right. And I came into the game late. I was like 30 when I started.
Would you call yourself that you would categorize it as a hooker?
I think that's a funny, like I think when people call themselves like an escort, I'm like you're a dirty whore. Like just like Stop. Like it's just so. I don't know what the right word is right now, but it just like it just sounds like you're relax. Like
Right.
you're a dirty whore. It's cool, but like, are you an escort or really? Like I have a joke about that. Like when I talk about the comedy, I'm like, do you mean like high class escort? No, I just think it's kind of funny.
So what's your passion? What's your first passion? Is it music? Is it comedy? Is it sex work? Like what's your...
Well, it's definitely not sex work because that's just work. I think, God, when this record first came out, I was so happy about it. I love performing. I think my passion is performing. That's when I get out of my head. Love being on stage. Love the applause. Yeah, I do. I hate to quote Lady Gaga, honestly, but I do live for the applause. I do live for making people laugh is really fun for me. Yeah, and it's funny, like, I hate, my mom is, like, super, super into astrology. Like, she won't even meet up with me and my dad unless it's, like, the moon is right and the fucking stars are right. Like, she's like, well, we can do 3 p.m., after 3 p.m. on Wednesday. You know, it's just like, Mom, like, you're old. Can I please see you guys, like, before you die? But she went to a psychic about me, and a lot of things she said sort of happened that, like, she told me that my sex and money were tied, which was one of the things that ended up making me think maybe this is the right work for me. But she doesn't know what I do. And she said that I would do 2 things, and I think that's the music and comedy. And then she also said that I wouldn't really, like, make it or be successful until later in life. So all these things seem to sort of have something to them, but it's like when you're from LA and, like, your mother's a witch, you can't help but, like, think of, like, you be affected by all this, like, you know, mimbo jumbo, as I like to call it. Like, I even wanted to see a psychic last night, but I didn't have cash. I was like, I was, like, outside the cellar, and I didn't want to go home, but she only took cash, so... But I'm going to go back. I'm going to get a palm reading and just, like, see what my next steps are, you know?
At what point did you say, all right, I'm going to take the music seriously. I'm going to start releasing videos. I'm going to start releasing content. I'm going to really put my foot on the gas in this music business?
That was about, let's see, that was about a year and a half ago. I got pretty far when I first got out of the cult, because I was like, although no one really understood what the cult was until this movie came out, like, I would tell people I was in a cult, and I went crazy. I was, like, up to 10K followers on MySpace, was it? Yeah. I deleted it all because I was really upset because, like, you know, I played for Rick Rubin. I got really far, and then, like, nothing happened. So, you know, and I watched Amy Winehouse blow up with that singles deal that I turned down. What happened
with that situation? I heard that you was offered a deal that said Amy Winehouse was offered, and you turned it down.
It was the same deal. It was back when they were offering fucking deals, you know, for, like, development deals. Because we had another full deal on the table from Columbia, and then Ben Goldman was the president, and then he got fired, and then it's like feast or famine with these labels. It's like they all want you, and then they all don't want you. And I think I remember sending an email to everyone at Universal Republic, where this deal was from, like, you know, the Lippman brothers and everything, and I was, like, eager to, like, move forward, you know. I said, let's take this deal now, but it's like they were already moving towards Amy Winehouse. And I remember back when Rite Aid was, like, Thrifties, right? You remember? You don't know. No, it's an LA thing. But I was like, you guys, this is all I need. I need, like, you know, I, like, gave him, like, a cheapest budget I could think of, like, per month to live. I just want to do this music. And my manager at the time, Will Sharp, is like, why did you send that email? I was like, because I want to fucking do something. And I think I was, like, 27 at this time.
Do you regret not taking that deal? This
100. But then again, it's just like, I'm annoyed with how, like, interesting I am. To me, it's boring. It's like I feel, like, cheesy. It's like, yeah, I'm a hooker. Yeah, I was in a cult. It's like, are you a real person or are you a fucking made-up character? It's like, to me, it's at this point, I'm just like, you know, I can see the excitement when I'm talking to somebody about it, but I've been telling my story, you know, to the point where I'm just like, I feel like it's boring somehow, you know?
Humans are complex. We have layers, you know, like... Now, you're very smart, too. It's not like you're... I've heard you speak 7 different languages.
Yeah.
Now, where did the desire to learn different languages come from? And do you think that helps with your music, and that helps with your comedy, and that helps with everything that you got going on?
It does. I actually rap in 3 different languages on the record. There's a little bit of French in Blue Chevy, and I rap in Dothraki, which is a fictitious language from Game of Thrones. On one of the songs, I think it's One Stop Mop. And yeah, one of my favorite things to do in the past when I had money to burn, I say money to burn, but I was on Groupon looking for like package deals with with airfare included, would be like to get this. Have you heard of Pimsleur, the language app? Mm-hmm. Well, it's really great, and it's like you can learn in like a 16 lessons for a new language for like $99. Mm-hmm. You just literally like listen and repeat. And when you're in LA and you're in the car all the time, it's just a wonderful way to sort of pass the time. You just like repeating, and I find I'm kind of like a bird. I pick it up real quick. So French, Italian, and Spanish are like pretty much the same thing. And then like I was getting into the Asian ones like Thai, Japanese, and like Mandarin. And I would go to Hong Kong. I was living.
Write these languages too?
Oh, no, that's the next step. They do include those packets, but I was like, nah, I think that's crazy because I'll never get, But yeah, I'd go to like Hong Kong. I was living in my car at the time, so I was saving money on rent, and I'd say, fuck America, I'm done with you. I was like so defeated that I had to become a terrorist. I was, to watch Amy Winehouse blow up like that. It's crazy that I didn't kill myself from that. I mean, I've just gone through so many.
But when you see what happened with her career, though, do you think that the industry drove her to that?
You mean when she killed herself, the overdosing?
Or the drinking and the drugs, or you think that?
No, actually, I heard, I forget what his name was, but I met her A&R guy back in the day at some point, and I remember he told me that they wanted to sign her. This was like before, just as she was starting to crackle. He said that they wanted to sign her because she had this is, I'm sure not the entire reason, but part of it, that she had a drug problem, right? Which is a little bit sexy in a rock star, right? And that they didn't think she was gonna live. They had a life insurance policy on her. They all do. The record labels. They always take a policy out on whoever they sign.
So do you feel like you would have been in that same situation? Like where they were just using you to see what they can get out of you? Like if this car crashes, that's better for us and our bottom line?
Well, I don't think they used her. I think that they celebrated her. I think if anything, I really don't know much about her. I think her attitude was wonderful. She got sick of everything, and I can see that happening for anybody that gets to that level. Right. I think she had a lot of love for the people from the documentaries that I see. I never met her, but I think she had a lot of love and respect for like the artists in that in the music world, and she was very happy to be doing that. I don't see her doing anything else. I just think she had a problem with drugs to begin with. Like I think she was like she was like bulimic and like just she was just kind of a mess. But that's what they loved about her. Just was like a hot mess. So yeah, I don't know. I do think that if I hadn't gone into the cult and stuff like that, I probably could have gotten a little crazy with drugs. Because when I finally did discover weed at 25, like I did it for like 10 years straight until I stopped getting high, Right. So yeah, I do think I'm susceptible. My big sister says that to me all the time, that if I got famous as a young person, that I would have just been a fucking mess. Like I probably would have been running around like, Paris Hilton back in the day and just like, doing all kinds of drugs and shit.
So what's the overall goal? Where do you see yourself in, let's say, next 5 to 10 years? What's the overall goal?
I think I want to have a baby in like a year. 38. Don't want to have one after 40 because I'm worried it'd be like autistic or some shit. And I don't know. I think I'm gonna try to get a place in Jersey City actually, because Sherrod Small, do you know the Comedy World at all? He's huge in the comedy. He knows everybody, but he told me to do that, and I call him the hooker whisperer. He's one of my hooker whisperers. And whatever he tells me to do, I do it, because I feel like he really does, look out for my best interest, and he's a real kind of a mentor. But he said, yeah, get it. And so I think I'm gonna try to be a little bit bi-coastal and kind of just see what happens. I would love to tour the world and do music and perform hip-hop. Like I got the moves. I've got these 2 incredible exotic pole dancers that choreographed my entire record for me, which I'm working on the concert film of it right now. But I think touring the world and doing music, doing stand-up, those 2 things really, really feel so good.
What's the biggest misconception about you?
Okay, this is a funny one. People, so in the comedy world, I've I'm in it. I'm a toddler in it. I'm just under 2 years. So, but I've gotten to make these friends, and it's so funny because they always say to me like, well, like, you know, I just produced a show with this guy at the Sycamore Tavern in LA like last month, and he was like, I got through your first layer of defense. You're actually a really sweet person. And it's so funny to me because I'm like, how do you not know I'm a sweet person? Like, I feel like all I am is sweet, but I guess people think that I'm like, just because I talk about being a hooker, that I'm like some hard bitch. And it's like, I'm so sweet. Like, I really am. So I think people's misconception is that, like, I'm not sweet.
What's a regular day like in your life? Like, what do you do?
Let's see. Well, wake up, shower. I mean, at least when I'm in New York, and then I just follow what's on the itinerary from Laney. See if I can hit a mic. Look on Craigslist at places in Brooklyn and Queens. Hit some mics. Try to do some shows. Produce. Like yesterday, I spent like 8 hours working on producing this next show I have coming up here in New York. Just the flyer alone took like 3 or 4 hours. Like, it was crazy. But and in LA, I'll spend like 4 nights a week at the Comedy Store with Don Barris, who closes it out, and a lot of the comedians get together and we'll play with each other and like roast each other and have fun. So yeah, hanging out at comedy clubs and like just trying to make progress with the music. This year's kind of sucked for me music-wise because I've had to focus so much on the business part. You know, I had this consultant come in and just explain to me like, this is an uphill battle and you cannot expect shit to happen like this. Like Lizzo's hit song took like 1.5 years to hit. So like, yeah, just taking the steps forward. I'm really looking forward to doing another record and getting on the creative side, which is of course way more fun than like doing email blasts and checking the stats in Asia. How's the record doing in Asia? You know what I mean? So.
If you could emulate your career after anybody's, who, like, if you could follow in the footprints of anybody previous, who would that be?
Ooh, probably, and I hate to say this, Lady Gaga, because I like the idea of being an actress. I mean, I was a child actress, but it's really hard to get work, you know. Nowadays you have to, and I wrote a pilot, which I'm working on actually a treatment for, but, you know, especially in LA, there's just like so many people, like, I just can't go through the whole, like, go out for 200 auditions and get one of those. Like, I'm not going to deal with 199 rejections for one, so, like, they expect you to write your own stuff, which is where the stand-up comes in. You just get a lot more exposure, too. So, yeah, I just like the idea of acting in something and just really getting theatrical with things. Like a few years ago, I put on a one-woman show called Tara is a Warm Gun. Tara is my legal name, which is where terrorist comes from.
Okay.
And yeah, so, and that was wild. Like I even wore ropes. There's one song I wrote called Rather Be a Hooker Than Live With My Mother, and I put on like this black mask and I like wear all these ropes and like I do this like weird dance. And so yeah, I love theater and I love acting, and I like, you know, to parlay some of this stuff into that at some point.
If fans want to get in touch with you, how can they reach out to you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at I am Hung Yung, IAM HUNGYUNG. Don't have a dick, but I'm hung in spirit.